Welcome into Fantasy Football Keys to the Crown, presented by Crown Royal, joined by NFL Network fantasy football expert Marcas Grant. I'm Erin Summers. The trade deadlines have passed. The only place you can get players is on the waivers. So who are we looking at this week?
Well, I think a guy that you have to be looking at is Treylon Burks, the rookie playing for the Tennessee Titans. It's not a very high volume passing game, but he's really the only guy that's really earning targets right now. So I think he should be on a whole lot of rosters, even if you're not comfortable putting him in your starting lineup just yet. If you're looking for running backs, which you always are, you check out Zonovan Knight. He might go by Bam, depending on which platform you're playing on there with the New York Jets. Gus Edwards, who I know wasn't great last week, but you still like the fact that it's a high volume running game there in Baltimore. And Kyron Williams, the Rams have been pretty awful this year, but he seems like he's the lead back.
You mentioned quarterbacks. There's been a lot of different quarterbacks in and out throughout the season. Now we're dealing with the fact that quarterback Aaron Rodgers might have an injury. How are some of these quarterback situations implicating how offenses are doing and who you can rely on?
Well, it's interesting because what we saw out of Jordan Love last week on Sunday night was sort of intriguing, and it makes me feel confident that I can still start a guy like Christian Watson, even if Jordan Love has to step in and play for Aaron Rodgers. The other one of note, I think, has been up in New York with the Jets. We saw Mike White take over last week, and that Jets offense looked pretty good. So that makes me feel confident that you can still start Garrett Wilson. I have a little bit of hope for Elijah Moore, who came out and had 60-plus yards and a touchdown last week. So that gets me a little bit excited. Don't necessarily love Sam Darnold down in Carolina, but I do like the fact that he seems to work well with DJ Moore. So that's another wide receiver that's maybe back on our radar thanks to a quarterback change.
Sure. Looking at the Saints' next matchup, it's Monday Night Football in Tampa Bay. Who's a start, sit, and sleeper in that one?
Well, I think we're still rolling with Chris Olave because he's been really good all year long. So I would stick with that right there. On the flip side, I think when you're looking at the Buccaneers, Rachaad White is getting a whole lot of opportunity. Now, that depends a lot on what happens with Leonard Fournette. If he's healthy, I'm not quite as excited about starting White this week.
Wide receiver Mike Evans, only 5 fantasy football points this past week. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Marcas, thank you so much for joining me on this week's Fantasy Football Keys to the Crown.